Hey again, everyone. Fall in for another episode of Tactical Plastic Report, where I talk about Army Men, a game of tactical plastic. We've been going for 10 episodes now, and this is around the time I usually start expanding things, I start talking more about what's coming in the future, and I really start trying to go beyond my initial premise. I want to get folks' thoughts, I want to get folks' opinions, and with Army Men as it sits right here at the end of 2025 and going into 2026, I want to talk about some of not just what I've done already and what exists for the game and what's going to be coming out in the near future, but I want to talk about some bigger projects and some expansions I'd like to have, not just for the game itself, but also for, well, additional accessories that could come with it, because there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of fun ideas, and I don't want to keep them all in my head. I want to toss them all out there and see what you all think of them, what you would like to see, what you'd be interested in. So, first of all, I want to explain where we are, so you have context for where I'm going. Now, Army Men has a base core book, which is technically all you need to play the game. If you're looking for one thing, you can just buy the core book and you're ready to roll. In addition to that core book, we have expansions for additional monsters and enemies you might find out in the field. We have a medals system in Medals of Honor, which is a way for you to reward players for their actions in-game and give them commendations that they can carry going forward. And beyond that, we also have a collection of unique booby traps for the setting, and we've had a couple of missions drop. And the missions, as you would guess from the name, are one-shot adventures you can take your troops out on. Just let them get a taste of the world, let them really feel out, the game for the most part. And while I have a couple more of those I want to do, I currently have something that is really on my work desk as we speak. My hope is it'll be out before the end of the year, but if it's not, it'll be out very early next year. And it's a side series that I am entitling Boots on the Ground. And this is specifically something that I wanted to address for some of the complaints folks have had, to let everyone know that I'm listening. I pay attention when there's comments. And in short, it was lots of folks wanted to play the game, they wanted to try it out, they specifically wanted to run it at events. But they didn't want to sit down and put in all the time, energy, and effort to learn the system well enough to build a viable character, or many viable characters, to do that. So, my thought for solving that issue, as well as giving characters to players who are eager to play but maybe a little gun-shy making their own, is a series I would title Boots on the Ground. It's an entire squad complete with their history, their place in the setting, and their, character sheets, as well as unique relationships to each other, and sort of give players a prompt, a little push forward of this is something you can do for the game, and you can all sort of divvy up who you want to play. And for folks who enjoy movie references and little nods to some of the inspirations for why I made this game, the first squad we're getting is named Baker Team, and if you get that reference, please, down in the comments below, leave your favorite quote from the film that's referencing. Don't tell anybody else what it is, trust me, I will know. But once that's done, I have a couple of different directions I could go in, and I don't just want to take stabs in the dark and hope that I hit something vital. I want to hear from you all who are watching this, which of these ideas actually sound good, and which are things you really want to see. So, first and foremost, one that's been a big request for a lot of folks, and I've mentioned it before in previous videos, would be Army Men Motor Pool. It would be a bigger supplement, so it's not something I could just pump out in a month. But it would have additional vehicle rules, you'd probably get some additional classes or subclasses for pilots, cavalry officers, motorcycle riders, etc, etc, etc. And this would give you more rules for things like shipboard combat, it would give you rules for aerial combat, there'd be vehicle-on-vehicle combat, vehicle-on-infantry combat, and it would open up lots of things, like if you wanted to have a squadron of pilots, you could have your characters versus, yes, other pilots if you wanted to do dogfights, but you could also have them against flying Vespoids, entire swarms of them that are something that might be a little difficult to eliminate from the ground if you wanted to have, Top Gun, but if it was a 1950s monster movie. And while that's a lot of fun, it is also a lot of work, so it's not that I would balk at that, but it's not something I could get done quickly. This is something we're looking at probably another Kickstarter, another expansion for. It would be probably at least half as big as the base book, if not as big as the base book, when all was said and done. Personally though, if I'm going to do a larger expansion book like that, there's another one that I've also talked about on the channel that I think would address probably one of the biggest complaints I've heard from people, or one of the things that people get a little squeamish on, a little squirrely about, and it's such an important part of the premise that it's hard to really address it without doing a big expansion. But folks who haven't been on the channel for a while, you haven't heard me talk about Army Men, Soldiers of Fortune, and it's in the name of the book. So many people, because for Army Men, one of the core premises is you are part of an official standing military army, whether you're whichever country you're part of, or if you're part of the shared nature of the Plastos Federation itself, whether you're an officer, whether you're an infantryman, whether you're an irregular trooper, whether you're a demolitionist, whatever your specialty, you are a member of one of these armed forces. And as such, you are subject to the chain of command. You basically go places and do things because that's what your superiors told you to do. On the one hand, it is a phenomenal way to just not have to deal with players not taking plot hooks. It's really easy for you as the game master. It's also easy for you as a player. Why are you going here? Why are you doing this thing? Because your sergeant came down and said this is what your squad's been tasked for. You leave at X time, get your gear, and move out. But there are a lot of players out there who really don't like that, who really balk at the idea that they have to follow orders in an RPG. So, my solution for that is Soldiers of Fortune, where you play mercenaries of some variety, the age-old profession of every RPG protagonist's ever. Whether you were a former member of the military, whether you were a civilian, whether you were in law enforcement, perhaps you just weren't acceptable by the armed forces, so you decided to strike out on your own and do things your own way. Maybe you just decided you wanted to fight for your country, but you did not want to do it through what you view as a corrupt system. Maybe you just want to help your friends and neighbors. Maybe you just want to go explore the world and see what's out there, and you don't want to have to go through all of the red tape and rigmarole that comes with, getting promotions and winning awards and all of those things. That book would be necessary for restructuring the way that characters are given equipment, for the way they're assigned missions, for the way that you have to think about the mechanics of your game. And in addition to additional classes and subclasses, there would probably be additional exploits, which is this game's version of feats. There might even be new ways to use skills, a whole bunch of other things, complete with new equipment, and just a retooling of so much stuff to just make it clear that you are on your own, and however you choose to take on the world, that is your decision. So those are the two very large expansion books that would require crowdfunding of some variety. Probably another Kickstarter. It would probably involve not just me, but an additional team of people to get that done. However, there are some smaller things I'm kicking around that could sort of bridge a gap between now and then. Because, again, while I love this game, while I love the setting, while I have ideas for it, and some of them are pretty big, it doesn't have the kind of fan base, it doesn't make the kind of sales for me to just bankroll all of that, because I know I'm not going to make it back, unless everybody starts telling all their friends about Army Men and sales start skyrocketing, in which case, I will gladly eat those words and I will get right to work on whatever it is you all want to see next. But, in addition to those big things I would like to do, some of the small things, I would like to do more missions. As I mentioned, I'd like to see how well folks like boots on the ground. I have some smaller country-based, flavor-based supplements I'd like to do. One in particular, sort of inspired by Warhammer 40k's Regiments of Renown. I'd like to have unique teams that folks could just get lore on, perhaps even join if they want specific subclasses. I would like to do things that really expand the lore of the setting, that really bring players into it, and gives them more of a sense than you are just a nameless, faceless trooper in a nameless, faceless war. But there is one other thing, in addition to supplements and world expansion guides, that I would like to do, and this is something that has unfortunately been stymied by the current climate. Which is to say, I had some ideas for things that I was hoping to do to really increase the sort of merch that I'm offering players, and this is particularly for folks who like to come and see me in person at conventions. There's maybe 3 of you that watch these videos who have been to my table, who have seen the stuff I have available, and I salute you. It really made my day, meeting folks in person who knew my game, who were enthusiastic about it, or who just found out about it and really wanted to know more. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. That really makes those events better. But part of and this is what goes into the marketing when you're holding it on a table at a convention, of just having, I have novels of course, but just having one RPG book, because all the supplements I've had up to this point are digital only, they're not print on demand, it can be hard to hold people's attention. So I had some merch ideas to sort of give players some specifics that they could just grab for their own troopers, or if they just read across the lore and they came across cool things they wanted. First and foremost, one of the ideas I had was a single set of standard issue dice keyed to your nation's colors, and getting them in a small tin you could put in your pocket. That way, no matter where you're going, no matter where you're traveling to, no matter where you happen to have the game, you have your standard issue dice on you, ready to roll at a moment's notice. Getting the level of dice and getting the actual cases has proven a little troublesome. Not impossible, it's still something I'm pursuing even with all of the will they won't they tariff nonsense that we're currently dealing with, but if that's something you all think is cool, if you really enjoy that idea, let me know so that I can redouble my efforts on it. There's also something I thought about doing for folks who really like to wear the iconography of things that they enjoy in game. I was thinking about either getting dog tags with the symbols of your country and your character's name, sex, where they've served, etc., or getting patches for either their nation's military or for a particular unit if I get through whatever my regiments of renowned homage is, and folks really like different groups from there, and they could be sew-on patches, they could be Velcro patches, really depending on what you all want. I'm just floating ideas at this point, but these are all things I've looked into and I've tried to run the numbers on. Lastly, there has been discussion, because we have phenomenal art in this game from Anonymous Katsudon, whom if you have not seen, look her up, she does great stuff, and I would love to have her expand the world more. I would love her to do more, but for that, we need to show her the love and make sure that she knows this is a valid project for an artist to put that kind of time, energy, and effort into. And several of the iconic pieces that she did for the book, there has been talks of us doing them in a poster format. And again, that's a relatively cheap thing for folks to get. It's a neat thing to put up on the wall. Heck, I might put it up on my wall, that way I have something in the background rather than just eliminating it from every video I'm doing. But these are all ideas that, while I like most of them, and there's probably some stuff that I've overlooked or haven't thought about, at the end of the day, you all are what make the games what they are, what make the worlds what they are. As creators, we only have so much leeway. We do not have the ability to just put out book after book after book after book and hope something catches on. So please, if you are a fan of Army Men, if you've enjoyed it up till now, or if you're just discovering it and you want to see it grow, you want to see it expand, leave a like on the video, share it around, and leave your thoughts on what you'd like to see for future products, future missions. Is there a type of merch I didn't mention that you thought would be really obvious for a military-themed RPG? Is there a particular supplement that you really wish someone had made up till now, but it's just not showing up when you search on DriveThruRPG? Let me know those things, and if enough people all want the same thing, if everybody is clamoring for something, that's when creators and the companies that they work with start taking notice. If there's a way for me to get things made, I want to make them. So please, let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all of that good nonsense. And if you have something in particular you'd like me to talk about regarding Army Men's setting, mechanics, anything to do with the game, the world, future expansions, leave that in the comments below too. I will see if I can make a future video on it. So, till next time everybody, ball out, and have a good day gaming.